You brought up before that you had to struggle to get where you had you had to struggle to get where you were, and you weren't given anything. So, what this tournament has at the end, what would it mean for you to win it all?
I would mean everything. Obviously, that $1 million is a huge life changing moment. But for me, being world champion, this is a lifelong goal of mine. Money comes and goes, but being champion of PFL would be a huge mark on my career. I've got a really long career, and holding the belt in one of these top organizations is definitely a huge motivating factor for me. All in all, the whole thing would be life changing for me.
Thank you, Chris.
Right, so as a finisher, you already have the fastest knockout in PFL history. As a competitor, you've already been there, kind of done that. Kind of moving forward this year, what's in store for us from yourself? And in terms of a challenge, what do you see as your biggest challenge this year?
I don't see anything as one big challenge. I just like my rematch with Magomed, and yeah, there's I'm gonna do the same thing I always do. I'm gonna mix them up more, and I'm gonna finish guys, and I'm gonna go in there and play point fighting, and I think I'm gonna be the most exciting one because I can go in there to finish my opponent, not play patty cake.
Hey, this is Breeze from the MMA Breeze. I wanted to ask, how coming back into fighting and performing in MMA, were you approached by any other organizations or entertaining going anywhere other than the PFL? And if so, what brought you to the PFL specifically?
Yeah, I've had opportunities. I've had things thrown my way over the past few years. I was offered a Lethway fight. There was a little bit of talk with some bare knuckle organizations, and I love fighting. I love combat. I don't know what to say. I absolutely love it. It's the only thing that I think about, on like a daily basis that makes me happy to do as a living. I mean, there's $1 million on the line. I don't know what other chance I'm gonna have at this point in my life to make that money, especially not doing something that I want to do. It's a no-brainer. My wife has stuff that she wants to buy. She wants to get like a fire pit for the backyard, stuff like that. My kids want, a new Pokemon game. My daughter was crying yesterday because I didn't want to buy her the $25 Angela Kitty Cat game on the iPad. So when I get that $1 million, that won't be an issue. And that's one of the driving factors here.
You're obviously a clear favorite for your upcoming bout against Vinny. Kind of how do you see that? How do you see these odds? Do you pay attention to them, and kind of what should we be expecting on Thursday with recent upsets at PFL 1?
Do you have the odds in front of you? Do you know what they are?
Not at the moment, sir. No.
I haven't seen them myself either. I think that I'm a better MMA fighter than Vinny. He's a great jiu-jitsu fighter, but this is MMA, and there's many facets to the game, and I think that I will show the difference between MMA and jiu-jitsu come Thursday night.
Hey, Emiliano, Harry Mack from the Bookies Basement. I hope all is well. So I just wanted to ask you, you're on a 5-fight winning streak, all 5 finishes. Do you think that we see you add to that finish streak on Thursday?
Siempre finalizo todas mis peleas. Las 23 peleas ganadas que tengo, todas fueron igual. Y creo que voy a tratar de hacer lo mismo este torneo.
In my 23 professional fights, I finished all of my opponents, and this Thursday night, I'm going to do the same.
Hey, Vinny, Drew Pierce, FightLeague.com. Do you think having, the experience you have in PFL gives you any sort of edge over the competition, especially those who are just now making their promotional debut?
I feel like just the experience overall, like sometimes gives us a certain advantage. Like I don't get nerves anymore. Like on fight week, I don't get nerves anymore. Like preparing for a fight, even though for this one I had like literally like 4 weeks to train for, which was probably like my shortest training camp like in my career. But I don't feel like as far as the promotion itself, it doesn't give me any advantage, especially because this year the format has changed. on the previous seasons, pretty much if you scored a first round win with 6 points, you're guaranteeing yourself in the playoffs. That's just how it went. Like, this year is completely different. You could get 6 points. If everybody else gets 6 points now, things are a little bit tighter compared to like what it was like in the previous season. Only 4 guys qualified this year to the playoffs. So things are going to be a little more difficult. One thing though, like, in the last card, we had like a bunch of decisions. So for guys like myself who are normally like going for finishes, that might give us some edge. But as far as experience, I don't know. It all depends on, like, if you look at like the roster this year, a lot of guys have like a ton of experience, like especially like in big promotions. So I don't know. If you count my fights on tough, like I have 35 fights, so I'm probably one of the guys that have the most amount of fights besides maybe Kamoji. I don't know how many fights he's had, but he has a ton of fights too. So I'm one of the most experienced guys, so that gives me a little edge just because I just feel comfortable now fighting. Some guys just feel like feeling really nervous, like on fight week. My opponent has like 11, 12 fights. I'm sure that for him, like, it's gotta be like a rough week.
Hey Curtis, Harry Mack from the Bookies Basement. So I just wanted to ask you, hypothetically, if somebody owned some signed Curtis Melender memorabilia and you were to go on and win the PFL welterweight title, not only would you win 7 figures, do you think maybe also hypothetically those people would make some money too?
Exactly, man. The price is definitely going to shoot up on the Curtis Millender stock after this.
It's good to know. Good to know. And speaking of the price shooting up, you're a plus 360 underdog right now in Vegas going into this fight. So do you feel disrespected like that at all? Do you feel like people maybe aren't giving you enough credit coming into this fight?
No, I don't take it as disrespect at all. He's done a lot in the sport. I still have a lot to do in the sport. I just have to, show them that they need to work on them odds, and anybody that cashes in on me, I need my 10%.
You've been one of the best welterweights on the planet for over a decade now. With that being said, how do you view the standard of the PFL welterweight tournament this season?
I'm very confident. I think they did a great job with getting some of the best talent around the world. I'm super excited to compete against all of them, and I do feel that I will be the champion at the end of the season, though.
And out of interest, is there somebody who you look at in the weight class who you think could potentially be your toughest test?
Well, it's hard to say. Everybody poses their own dangers, I just try to focus on my own ability and fighting my own fight and take it as it is. We see guys all the time take certain people too lightly and not fight them hard enough, and they lose the upsets, lose an upset fight to them. So I try not to do that. I take everybody as my championship fight.